Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the SOM TV podcast. My name is Jason Wise. Have you ever eaten or drank something, maybe a little too much, maybe indulged a little too much, and now you can't smell, taste, or be around that thing ever again? Maybe it's gin, maybe it's an alcohol, maybe it's a food. Well, that's called taste aversion. This is a scientific term that is one of the most fascinating things in the food world, and that's what we're talking about today on the SOM TV podcast. You do not want to miss this. But first, tomorrow, we are launching a brand new episode of Behind the Glass, filmed at Ca del Bosco, one of the founding members of the Franciacorta region. This is a beautiful episode launching. You do not want to miss it. And we have great news. We're covering the Food and Wine Classic in Aspen, top to bottom. This is going to be the coverage you never knew you needed of the greatest food and wine event that exists in the world. We are going to bring you shows, podcasts, all sorts of great stuff. So make sure you go to somtv.com and subscribe, $49.99 for an entire year. Without further ado, let's talk about taste aversion with Shakera Jones and Anthony Zhang. This is kind of a very interesting expert crowd we have here for today's podcast. Every once in a while, it's like we do something about a region or something really highbrow or whatever else. This is going to be the lowest brow. We're going. Take your brow, put it at the low mark, and let's go lower. We're going to talk about a long gestating topic about something called taste aversion. Now, taste aversion is this term that covers food, alcohol, really any kind of experience where you've had something and you didn't have a good outcome with it and you can't smell it, taste it, be a part of it ever again. Man. So we always thought it'd be, I know. So Shakera Jones, of course, of Glass for Every Palate and Weekly Wine on SOM TV, and Anthony Zhang from Vino Vest, and you can see him all over SOM TV, are on the podcast today to talk about things that we have had in our past that, should I say we regret? Is that appropriate?
Regret's a good word to start with. There's so many more feelings surrounding it. That's a healthy place to start. That's definitely a key one.
So I think that when you talk about this topic, the most important thing is to say, this is probably a mixture of our fault and whatever we drank too much is fault. Everybody listening, I know, I don't care how well behaved you are. You've had one night where you drank too much of something, and now if you sniff it, now if you smell it, now if somebody puts it in a cocktail, you just go, oh no. I have a few of these, but maybe I'm more professional and regretful than the two of you guys. I know you two are, one of you's Mormon, I think, and I know you guys are very well behaved, but let's get into this concept. Do you two have something that you have drank in your past that you regret doing, that you have a taste aversion to? Shakera, let's start with you.
I don't drink vodka anymore.
That's such a huge thing. Vodka's like such a big thing. You're coming right out swinging like Evander Holyfield. It has to be
masked by something, like everyone. Well, I won't say everyone, but like a lot of people, you go to college and drinking was not prohibited. Just culturally, it wasn't something you were banned from, but you go away to college and you drink too much of something too quickly and the rails fall off. For me, it was vodka, and it was because vodka was so cheap. You'd get like a gallon of Georgie. Yes, Georgie. Which I'm sure, yeah, like if things get too bad.
Is that one of those plastic handled vodkas?
It's like old school.
Oh, boy.
Like, I think now if gas prices go much higher, I might try to power my car with it. Like, it's terrible. I don't think it should be out there for human consumption. But, good times. We've got a lot of this now. I think for like I swear it's like a gallon. I think it was less than $20.
All right, so for me, I remember like Popov being like a plastic bottle of vodka. All right,
we had Popov.
Yeah, we're gonna get into your story. Hold on, Shakera. So Anthony, do you have one of these stories? Because I want to take this piece by piece. Do you have something?
Yeah, it's Jack Daniels. He did me dirty.
Jack.
He did Jack. Did you dirty?
This was even pre-college. I'm ashamed to admit this. But this was actually, it was actually for a noble reason. There was one night that we were supporting our varsity women's basketball team during our state semifinals. And, we just really had to bring the spirit. And Our whole school was there cheering on our team, and we decided to bring spirits to the stand.
Oh
And
my
it was
God.
we just got so into the game. We were like, yeah, let's go, and just had a handle of Jack Daniels, and it just went too far. And I just remember the reason why it got really bad was because it was a school night. So next day we had school, but it was our community service day, and I had chosen a beach cleanup, which meant that I had to smell like beachy, oceany trash for the whole day the next day, bending over, standing back up, picking things up, and I was just hurling every single time I was trying to pick something up. I think I created more trash that day than I picked up from all the throwing up the next day. Oh, it was really bad.
All right, so wait, hold on. This is too good. So, okay. So mine, I'm gonna come. I do have a few of these, and I need to be very careful and not make myself sound like a full blown, like I have a problem here. But for me, it's this. My two biggest culprits in this end are Goldschlager and Aftershock. And there's somebody listening right now who knows exactly what Aftershock is. It is this glass bottle that tastes like cinnamon insanity, and it has like these sugar crystals at the bottom. It's disgusting.
Whoa.
I mean, full blown. So you guys have like real things. Like yours is a Jack Daniels. Mine are like these, like some older brother bought you while you were still 20 years old things.
I've got Goldschlager stories.
I have a real. Well, we'll get to Goldschlager,
but I don't hate
stories.
it.
Okay, so I need to ask you, Shakera. Let's go back to you on this because look, we have two people here who are pretty high up in the beverage industry. I mean, Shakera, we've worked together for years. You are a host and everything. Anthony, you run a wine investment company that is very successful and wonderful. And it's like, this is the great leveler with alcohol. You learn your lessons. And I really do think it's at the expense sometimes of some things. But how is vodka, Shakera, the thing? Vodka is one of those things that's kind of almost innocuous, right?
Drink too much of it too quickly, right? So I've learned this. Me and spirits and sugar are not good friends. I can drink sugar, like spirits and I straight up or with very few mixers or add-ins, great. Once we start mixing things together, and again, this is college, so we made this concoction. I won't say the fraternity because those guys are still my really good friends, but they made this freaking.
Well, where is college?
In New York.
Where is college?
It's at NYU. And they made this concoction that's a specific color that I won't say because then everyone will definitely know. And there are going to be friends that I went to college with that actually remember this, so I won't say it. But it's this punch, and it's got a lot of stuff in it. But you don't realize it because there's so much juice and other stuff thrown in that how much alcohol in it is actually masked. So I'm got a pretty decent alcohol tolerance. So I'm like chugging it. And then I forget it's really early in the night. We start dancing. And then much like the whole concept of like, maybe you don't want to start dancing and like choreograph, like I'm old. So I'm talking about like when you knew the whole dance from a video that came on MTV that they stopped like everything to show this video. So it's just a bad idea. And I don't know, like the salinity. So I love salt, but you know, when you're about like just when the wheels are going to fall off, you get that salty, like cotton mouth feeling. It was at that point I knew that I had not done right by myself and that Georgie and I were going to permanently break up after that night. And so to this day, I do not enjoy vodka cocktails at all. I will drink rum, bourbon, whiskey, gin, but me and vodka are not friends because it's like rubbing alcohol. It doesn't smell or taste like anything, but
This is so basically if I show up to your house with a bottle of vodka and Viognier, I'm not welcome.
I'll drink the Viognier before I drink the vodka. You're going to have good Viognier though. So I will definitely, and that time I'll drink the Viognier for sure.
Here's my hope. My hope is that you had a good wingman that night that could take care of you.
Ever.
And make sure you were
best
safe.
Wing women to this day. And you know, the best part of it is we're old. There are no Snapchats, no Insta stories. There is no video footage of any of that. And I'm grateful to have grown up in a time where every bad decision I've ever made in life isn't on the internet.
It's just seared in your memory and many other people's memories.
What's great though is here we are on a podcast to many thousands of people.
I can't wait for the text message like, I remember that story. Oh my God.
Yeah. All right, so let me tell you something about taste aversion. You guys know this is actually a real scientific thing. Your brain actually makes a negative association to teach you not to have it again. This is a real thing. There is science behind taste aversion. This term, it's been studied. There are doctoral studies about why, and it goes down to like some people, if you got sick eating cheese or got food poisoning on something or whatever, your body and your brain says, don't have this again. Which is also a testament to how dumb we all are at this age, where we'll just drink too much, get sick off of it, and have to learn. Yeah, right.
And we still do it again. That's the thing.
I've
had Jack Daniels before, many times after that one fateful night, and I'm sure
I have had vodka.
Too. Maybe not that specific vodka.
I've had vodka again many times. It's still not a preference. Funny though, I had appendicitis recently and I thought that I had food poisoning. The only thing I had eaten that day was a bagel with cream cheese and red onions and capers. I have not from that day been able to eat a bagel with cream cheese because it still triggers me to think I got really sick after that. So I have not had my favorite bagel from my favorite shop because I thought that that's what had made me sick. It wasn't, but I still have not been able to eat a bagel since.
All right. So whenever we bring up science and doctors and such, we have to go to Jack Daniels. Anthony, what is your story with Jack Daniels? What have you done to yourself to remove Jack Daniels from your lexicon?
I really haven't done much. He still comes into my life a lot, and I try.
He still comes into my life. So wait, you're in high school. And I mean, look, obviously we do not advocate underage drinking. I also think that our drinking age is part of the problem.
Too high.
People drink the way they do at a certain age, but
agreed.
But I also think that we're not advocating this, but to not acknowledge that younger people want what they can't have would be the dumbest thing a parent could possibly do. You two don't have children, but I do. And I can tell you I was a child. And when somebody says no, you're like,
definitely going to do it.
I know an older kid with a fake ID or something and you want it. Yep. So, but if I was to give you Jim Beam or if I was to give you Wild Turkey or something that's like close-ish to Jack Daniels, does that spark like a gag reflex for you or is it just Jack Daniels?
Honestly, it's really ruined a lot of other perfectly innocent brands for me because of the association. Especially recently, with VinoVest, we're going into whiskey investments. So
yep.
I've been tasting a lot more Scotch, a lot more bourbon, a lot more Japanese whiskey. And it's really taken a lot of like resolve and fortitude to try to block out those negative memories, to be like, all right, this is not Jack Daniels. This is way better. You should be liking this. This is high quality stuff. And I think what really helps me is like learning about the craftsmanship and history, right? It's just like wine and, just realizing how much effort is put into just getting this thing in front of me. I think that helps a lot. And I think with anything, right, the story helps to kind of enhance that experience.
Yeah. There are people out there, firemen and soldiers, and they're doing good work, but there's no one doing the work Anthony's doing. Getting past his taste aversion to get into Japanese whiskey.
That is
one glass at a time.
Listen, I applaud that effort. That is serious stuff. I agree with you.
Facing my fears.
I support that. And I agree with you completely about like not promoting underage drinking, but also recognizing like a rule that everyone breaks regularly is kind of a rule you want to look at again. And the rest of the world, 21 is way too old to let people drink. Everybody else in the rest of the world can drink long before that. And I do think that it's weird that I got sick because I'm Caribbean. Like rum is a way of life. It's not.
Rum is a way of life.
It really is.
That's her bumper sticker.
So it's not that you encourage underage drinking. It's that if you eat pastries at Christmas time, you're probably drunk off the slice of cake, not off of actually drinking rum. So yep. I think that they should, yep. I've just seen that happen a lot. Like freshman year of college, that was it. Like every day you woke up and someone else was like passed out or there's excrement everywhere because someone lost it. I didn't know
God.
what other word to use. I don't want to spark anyone throwing up, so I'm going to say excrement.
This sounds intense.
Listen, it was especially if you went to like, I know the larger schools where like parties were hundreds of people, and like I'm like, why is everyone drinking this much? As I partook in said drinking.
Shakera, I'm from the Midwest. You'd have keg parties at Ohio University or at Ohio State University or like University of Toledo or Bowling Green University. These schools, I'm telling you right now, you could kill thousands of horses with the amount of alcohol at any one of these parties on any given night. And if you're listening to this and you're like, oh,
I love how your measurement is like, how do you kill a horse? How much is that a unit of measurement that's really popular?
It is. It's huge in Norway. That's how they measure everything in Norway. How many horses can you kill? No, I don't know.
Yeah, not horsepower, just horse deaths.
Horse deaths. All right, listen, everybody makes fun of me because I always say I'm from Cleveland on this podcast. It's like a drinking game. Being from Northern Ohio, we would go into a place called Windsor, Canada. And the drinking age in Canada was 19. So we went into Windsor, Canada one time on my 19th birthday. So I was freshly 19. And when you're 19, you don't realize that you look like a child. You are a little kid at 19. And so I went into Canada, and I never ordered a drink in my life legally, never had anything at a bar, never had someone look me in the eye and say, what would you like to drink? So I didn't even know why I said it. I said a whiskey sour. It was the first thing I ever ordered in my life at this. Sorry to people from Windsor, Canada. I don't want to shame that beautiful, wonderful Paris of the North. But I will say some of the casinos and stuff are pretty rough up there. And so where I was, I ordered a whiskey sour, and I drank that, and there's a cherry in it and the whole thing. And I drank another one. The bartender's like, you got to slow down. Have you ever heard of an amaretto sour? And I'm like, no, they're like, there's less alcohol in an amaretto sour. You can drink more of them. So I'm like, oh, well, then give me 2 of those. And so I have this problem with amaretto to this moment. But if I smell amaretto, it's like, I just don't want it. If I smell it with any kind of, it smells good. If I have it with any kind of citrus, I have a gag reflex. Like I almost want to die. I was so hungover as a 19-year-old in Windsor, Canada. But you also bounce back at that age.
You'd be gone for a week.
Yeah, if you have multiple
nothing.
Whiskey sours are dangerous. They're so sour, especially like, if you're in the type of bar that I'm assuming you're in as a 19-year-old, it's just like the mix, right? The sweet and sour mix is so much sugar and so much, I don't know what that makes it that flavor.
They're not using egg whites.
There are no egg whites. There are no freshly juiced. I'm like, a whiskey sour, any sour properly made is delicious. I remember going to happy hour. This is like 15 years later when I was like a grown-up with a job, ordering a martini, and the bartender accidentally gave me a vodka martini instead of a gin one, and I spit it out all over the bar because now if you give me vodka straight up like that, I'm like, gross. Like I never ever need to taste that in that way ever. But I mean, I've had vodka before. I don't mind it. But Jason, you brought up the combination. It's the combination of vodka with a bunch of sugary things that I cannot do at all, ever.
Well, so my wife, who produces all these films and everything, Christina, she can't drink rum, and she thinks it's because rum is sweet. But rum is not always sweet. Rum can be like bone dry, but she's got it in her brain. She got sick from rum when she was younger, and so she's got in her brain that it's sweet. It's the same thing with wine. You see people who are like, this wine is sweet, and you're like, no, it's not. It's actually dry. You're not. But I harp on her all the time because there are.
I'm going to bring Christina some rum.
That are world class.
That means when I come to California, I'm going to bring her some rum.
But it's a taste aversion thing. It's not actually it's not knowledge based. It's her brain and reading this. Okay, so conditioned taste aversion, CTA, is an evolutionary adaptive, robust learning paradigm that is considered a special form of classical conditioning. Meaning this, according to researchers and doctors, has built into our sort of genetics and our reptile part of our brain to keep us from dying.
Is it so that we don't eat, if we ate a poison mushroom? I was just going to say that.
Yeah, or a berry or something like that, and you got sick. I mean, it's this kind of adaptive thing. And you mentioned bagels and cream cheese. I just want to say one thing. As somebody I have 2 daughters, I have a wife, so I'm surrounded by women. I don't mean to make this about one gender or not, but I do believe you need to keep the females in your life. You got to give them carbs. They need carbs. And when people are drinking, male or female, you need carbs. French fries, whatever.
Parker House rolls.
You got to have carbs. Yeah, exactly. Any kind of that
you
stuff.
You need bread. You got to start the base if you're preparing yourself for
anybody
battle,
under the age of 25 listening to this podcast, if you hear nothing else that we just said, hear that part. Drinking and not
eat your carbs before you drink.
You will save yourself so much agony if you just eat carbs, fries, anything.
Eat carbs. There's this whole book. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but there's this entire book, and it's really good. It's about the hangover, what the cause is, why our bodies reject alcohol, and it's a really good thing. I heard this whole thing on NPR about it, and then I bought the book, listened to it, and you know what the entire thesis of the book is? I mean, all these stories about the history of the hangover, mead in medieval times, and honey wine in Ethiopia, and all this stuff. The real truth is, it's like, you want to avoid a hangover? Drink a bunch of water, eat a bunch of carbs, and before you go to bed, take 2 Advil. It's like, all right, so I read this whole book about history to go, wait a second.
But if evolution...
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's still something we never follow. Something as simple as drinking enough water.
That's what they should study is, how come this evolutionary thing hasn't kicked in yet? Like, we've been punished for our poor decisions many, many times over. It doesn't stop us from doing it over and over again. How come we don't have an aversion to alcohol in general yet? I don't want it.
Well, some people do. And I mean, yeah, I don't want it. I think that any industry will tell you it's better to self-regulate than to be regulated. And I think if anything taught us from Prohibition, there may be a situation where you don't like alcohol or want anyone to drink it, but the repercussions of getting rid of it are way worse. And it will always be that way. I can take a bucket of plums in my backyard and let it sit long enough, it's going to turn into alcohol. And so you can't get rid of alcohol. So you mentioned this, your bagel and cream cheese thing. That trip I did with the amaretto sours, I had these. Have you guys ever had those? They're pretzels in a bag, but they're mustard flavor, like mustard pretzels, like hard pretzels.
Oh, like
in a
the
bag.
Snyder's of Hanover things?
Exactly. Yeah.
Those are the best.
They are, but I can't eat them.
Like little mustard bites.
I ate those. Well, they're like mustard flavored.
I hate mustard.
I mean,
they're like honey mustard coated pretzel bites.
So those are for me, Shakera. I can't have those because I had those with the amaretto sours, and I threw up. And the smell of the fake mustard pretzel dust, still to this moment, if I smell it, if I taste it, I almost want to. I know
what to get you.
We are totally going to gag gift you.
I'm going to get you a truckload of those mustard bites.
So, Anthony, we are on the same page because I just wanted to write down what is the largest portion of this I can
I know
buy.
exactly what you're talking about, Jason.
Yeah.
So, Shakera, we're going to get
giant life-size
everyone in my
life
wants to torture me.
No, it's weird. I love bagels. It was, and funny enough, I had gone for a run that morning, so it was like my carb load after my run. But it was the only thing I had eaten that day, and then I got really, really sick. And until going to the hospital, I was convinced that the bagel and cream cheese made me sick. And so that was back in March. I have not had a bagel with cream cheese since. I can't even bring myself to go into the bagel store to consider ordering one with butter. Just the sight or smell of cream cheese right now, I can't do it at all.
Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, that's because that's such a wonderful.
I live in a really, and I'm a New Yorker. I live in a neighborhood with really good Jewish bakeries. Bagels are essential to Sunday, and I just can't do it.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a real damn shame. Anthony, do you have any food stuff like this that's linked to taste aversion?
Yeah, it was really based off an allergy. So I'm allergic to one type of mushroom. I don't know exactly what that one type of mushroom is because I was on a trip with my dad and we were in Tibet. And up there, there's just a bunch of crazy mushrooms.
Interesting.
And, just non-psychedelic mushrooms, right? I was 12 or 13, just to put that out there.
Okay.
But they would make these amazing mushrooms that tasted like beef, tasted like chicken. And, just eating all of this was like a fully vegetarian trip. And I just got really allergic off of one of them. Had these crazy highs all over my body and everything like that. And after that, I just stayed away from all mushrooms because we weren't really sure what it actually was. And now I just can't do any of them. It's like a texture thing for me. It's like a visual thing for me, and I just get completely grossed out when I see any sort of mushroom on a plate.
Oh no!
So do you guys still say I'm allergic to it, even though I don't even know what exactly I'm allergic to?
All mushrooms, like porcinis, any.
Yeah, except for truffles, because I feel like even though they're the fungi, they don't look like a mushroom at all. So I can do those.
Oh, thank God.
And also, you don't eat truffles. You don't eat truffles with a fork.
It's shaved
exactly that too. It's just usually a garnish, or you don't really see it, right? It's shaved. It's less threatening to me. But
I guess if you're like a Russian gangster, maybe you do. I don't know.
I must say, I want Russian gangster friends.
Take a giant truffle out of your mouth and just
eat it like an
apple. Look someone in the eye and just chew on it. Like
I've never seen that happen. I've never seen that happen. But Vinovest people probably
very expensive.
So, maybe.
So the whole idea of like, I just wonder if this is like an evolutionary thing. Do you think it's kind of the same way? Like some people are allergic to stuff. Some people, maybe it's just nature trying things out. The fact that you don't like the texture of a mushroom, the fact that, we all know people who just like, you have them over for dinner and they just won't eat fish. And you're like, fish is a big category. They're just like, nope, I can't eat fish.
I'm not. You can't come over.
You're a baby, or you were raised in some questionable.
Or you have to eat around it. Like, I'm not adjusting.
Right?
I'm not adjust. Like I'll adjust for an allergy, but I also know people with allergies. Like I have a cousin that is allergic to pineapple. Like the entire outside of her mouth gets inflamed if she eats pineapple. But she loves pineapple, so she continues to eat pineapple and suffer through the allergic reaction of her eating pineapple.
I have
but
that
over
with
the
avocados.
years,
I'm allergic to avocados.
But have you noticed? So over the years, though, it's gotten a little bit less severe over time. I think the more that she eats it, so it's weird with them, like.
Yeah, you got to build up that tolerance.
Yeah, but I think now people just like saying, I'm allergic to things that they're not allergic to. They just don't like eating. Particularly now that restaurants have to be cognizant of actual allergies, right? If you have an allergy to nuts or eggs, that's different. But, I eat fish, but I don't eat salmon, halibut, or trout. But I eat all other fish. Okay, well, I'm cooking trout tonight.
Yeah, that's tough.
I see trout and salmon I could see in that mix, but why halibut?
Because they had one halibut dish that they did not like, which I'm always like, okay, that's crazy.
It's like you can't be that picky. Like if you want to say just no fish in general, okay, a restaurant that they can do, but like you can't just be like, I don't like this fish. I like.
But you
fish.
can be allergic to some. So I have a friend that's allergic to why can't I say mercury? High mercury fishes.
High mercury?
Yes, fish. High.
So like shark and skate and all that stuff.
Yeah, which makes sense that's a particular class.
Yeah.
But just, I don't know. I think people, like every time someone asks about allergies, I wonder, I'm like, how many kids might have died like when I was growing up? Because there were no allergies. Like everyone had peanut butter and jelly everywhere. Like I never knew anyone with a peanut allergy growing up. Or...
Well, the problem is nobody really cared. I think people just didn't. It is an interesting. I have a kid with a peanut allergy, and I never expected to have it, and now it's like the weirdest thing because I have one kid who peanut butter and jellies are her favorite thing. I mean, we're off topic, but it's also some of the same kind of concept in that one, you are an experience forces you a direction, and another, you're forced by a direction that you didn't mean to do, but it's the same outcome. You can't have it. So. What would you do if I sent you to Poland for Som TV to do a travel show, or Russia where they literally will do 7 tiny shots of vodka throughout a dinner, or 12 shots? What would you do, Shakera? I mean, how would you
Are you giving me enough caviar to offset my disdain of vodka? If there's sufficient caviar, I can be swayed.
Those are the right questions to be asking.
If there's sufficient caviar available, yes, I will go and film in Russia, and I will do all of the vodka shots. But if there's no... Yes,
vodka.
But if there's no caviar, no thank you. I feel like there's someone else on the network that could take that assignment that isn't me.
I'll go.
Yeah. We'll send
There you
Anthony
go.
and Claire. It's good.
It's like, I won't go unless there's caviar. If there's caviar, I'm going.
If you send us there, we won't get anything done.
You guys, this is so good. I look forward to meeting up for Jack Daniel's vodka, mustard, pretzels, and amaretto sours. It's going to be a hell of a meal.
I'm going to go throw up after this.
I'm
just
done.
after hearing all that.
That's great. If anybody listening to this pod has any of these things, I want you to hit us up and tell us what is the thing. All of you have it. You all know what it is. Tell us in the comments. Tell us. Hit us up. We want to know. I bet we share some things in common. All right. Thank you guys for being on. This is a lot of fun. Good stuff. I know all of your heads are spinning right now thinking about the decisions you made in life that were not great. And my apologies. Taste aversion is a real thing, and it is a fascinating topic. Make sure you mark your calendars. We're covering the Food and Wine Classic in Aspen. It is coming up very, very, very soon. We are going to have a hell of a time. SomTV.com, $49.99 for an entire year. Please join us. Thank you for listening. Everybody be safe.